بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. Zuhair ibn al-Qayn, the commander of the right wing of the army of Imam Hussein, the great noble companion of Imam Hussein. The earlier parts of his life weren't actually that known, but what was known about him is that he was not of the Shia of Ahlul Bayt. During the time before Ashura, or during that time as a whole, the people were split into two. You were either an Alawi, which is when you were following Imam Ali alayhi salam, or a Uthmani, of course referring to what they refer to as the third caliph, and they are also those who followed Muawiyah and Yazid afterwards. And Zuhair ibn al-Qayn was in fact a Uthmani. And he was actually in Hajj on the same year that Imam al-Hussein left Medina. As Imam al-Hussein was walking towards Kufa and Zuhair was returning to his home city, Kufa, it is narrated that because of how much he hated to be around the Alawis, to be around the Shi'as, and because of how much he affiliated himself with the Uthmanis, he would try his best to stay as far away from the family of Imam al-Hussein alayhi afdal salatu wassalam, until they reached a place called Zarud. When they reached Zarud, Imam al-Hussein ordered for his tents to be placed close to where Zuhair ibn al-Qayn was staying. When they were there, Imam al-Hussein sent one of his messengers to Zuhair ibn al-Qayn. And he said to him, go to him and ask him to come to me, as I want to meet him and I want to talk to him. So the messenger went to Zuhair. When he arrived, Zuhair welcomed him inside, and then he said to him, I am a messenger from Imam al-Hussein, and he wishes to see you and he wishes to meet you. Zuhair ibn al-Qayn, like I said, he hated and he did not want to be around the Holy Infallibles or anyone that is related to Tashayyu' or Amir al-Mu'mineen. And hence he refused. And he in fact told the messenger to go back to Imam al-Hussein, and he said, do not come back. Then his wife looked at him and she said to him, Subhanallah, glory be to Allah, the grandson of the Holy Prophet is asking you to come to see him and you are refusing to do so? Oh Zuhair, what bad would it do to you if you go and you see what he has to say? And from this, by the way, we can understand the great role in choosing the correct partner in life. Because this correct choice of a partner, this person who knew the status of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was the reason. And if it wasn't for such a powerful woman to be on the side of Zuhair, Zuhair would have never approached Imam al-Hussein to at least see what he has to say. So Zuhair saw sense in what his wife was saying, and hence he got up. When he went to Imam al-Hussein, it is narrated that he did not stay in his tent for long. It was actually a very, very short time that he stayed in the tent of Imam al-Hussein. But when he came back, he was smiling, and no one had ever seen him this happy, ever. His wife was surprised. She says to him, Oh Zuhair, what is it that I see? What makes you so happy? What makes you so delightful? And he said to her, Oh my beloved wife, I have just met Imam al-Hussein and I have decided that I will join him on his journey. And then it is narrated that he would divorce his wife and send her back with her brother to her family. And the divorce that he divorced her was not out of hate to her. No, this divorce was because he wanted safety for his wife. And he told her that, go with your brother back to your family. Now, again, I said his wife knew the status of Rasulullah. Look at what she said to him. She said to him, Oh Zuhair. She started crying. Said to him, Oh Zuhair. She did not stop him. Oh Zuhair, remember me on the day of resurrection in front of Rasulullah. Because she understood this great status, and she understood that the lineage of Rasulullah was in Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, and the message of Rasulullah was in Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And she understood and knew, although she didn't meet Imam al-Hussein, that Imam al-Hussein was the resemblance of religion at that time. And she said to him, when you go on the day of judgment, remember me in front of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And she went back with her brother, as some narrations would mention. And Zuhair would join Imam al-Hussein's camp with his cousin. Then they carried on towards Kufa until they reached a place called the Husm. When they reached that place, it is narrated that Imam al-Hussein would see an army approaching, the dust of an army approaching, and hence would go to this area called the Husm. In this area, this is when Al-Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi and his 1,000 soldiers met with Imam al-Hussein. And when they were there, Imam al-Hussein, after praying Salat al-Dhuhr, and after Al-Hurr introduced himself to Imam al-Hussein and said that he will accompany him on the way, with great detail that comes with it, that we'll leave for another time inshaAllah. Imam al-Hussein stood up and he said to his people and his companions, look at the people that have just approached us. Can you not see what the world has come to? Do you not see that good is not being enjoined anymore and evil isn't being forbidden from anymore? O people, be pious. And O people, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I am moving towards death. And for me, death is nothing but martyrdom and happiness. And living with those who oppress is nothing but wasteful of this life. After he said that, his companions started to look at one another. Zuhair ibn al-Qayn looked at the companions and he said, should I talk or do you want to talk? Remembering that Zuhair ibn al-Qayn has just met Imam al-Hussein and they haven't been together for long. Should I talk or do you want to talk? They said to him, no, O Zuhair, talk. So he stood up and he said in a very brave manner and in a beautiful stance that, O Imam al-Hussein, we heard what you have said. And this hearing what you have said is not just a matter of hearing with the ear. When you say we heard what you said, it means we heard and understood what you said. So we heard and understood what you said. And I will be with you and aiding you and your family till my last breath. And so Zuhair, although at that time he was the last to join the camp of Imam al-Hussein up until that specific point, he was the first to pay allegiance to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. What a beautiful stance from Zuhair ibn al-Qayn in the Husm. Then they carried on. They started walking until they reached Karbala. When they reached Karbala, and on the 3rd of Muharram, that is when Imam al-Hussein was denied water from the river of Furat. Zuhair ibn al-Qayn looked at Imam al-Hussein and he said to him, O Abu Abdullah, as you can see, there are 1,000 soldiers in front of us. It is better for us to fight them and we have a bigger chance in gaining victory in fighting them than if we wait until more come. And I am scared that when more come, and the scare is not out of fear but fear for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And I'm scared when more will come that we won't be able to handle what is to come. Imam al-Hussein beautifully replies, he says to him, I hate to start the battle. I hate to start the war. And this was the teachings of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. And so they didn't. And Zuhair ibn al-Qayn stayed with Abu Abdullah al-Hussein very close to him until the night of Ashura. On the night of Ashura, Imam al-Hussein would gather his companions, and in the darkness of the night he says to them, O my companions, you have done what is upon you. You have supported me and you have come with me. And now I want to tell you that you do not have to stay with me. And look at the darkness of the night. If you wish, go and disappear in the night, and I will not hold it against you. So his companions started to look at one another, and all of them started repeating their allegiance to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, saying, we will never leave you, O son of Amir al-Mu'mineen, O son of Fatima, O son of Rasulullah. And Zuhair ibn al-Qayn's stance is one not to forget to mention at all. He would say to him, "O Aba Abdullah, if I was to be killed, then brought back to life, and then be killed again, and for that to be repeated 1,000 times, if that will take away any harm from you, O Aba Abdullah, I will never leave you, and I will stay that, and I will repeat it 1,000 times." Look at the love and the compassion that Zuhair built with Imam al-Hussein. Why? Because he understood the status of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. He performed true walaya towards Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. Association with the true path. And then, when Imam al-Hussein saw that the army of Ibn Sa'd started coming closer to the tents, he sent Al-Abbas and he sent 20 companions with him to the army of Ibn Sa'd. When they reached there, Al-Abbas asked them, "What is it that you want from us?" Ibn Sa'd would reply, he would say to him, "We have been ordered by the prince, as they call him, Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, that you either pay allegiance to Yazid, or we will kill you all and we will go into war with you." So Al-Abbas returned to Imam al-Hussein to tell him of what happened. Of these 20 companions were Habib ibn Mudahir and Zuhair ibn al-Qayn. Habib ibn Mudahir then turns around to them and he says to them, "O servants of Allah, do not allow this stance to be the reason that you will enter hellfire, and go back to where you came from." One of the people of the army of Umar ibn Sa'd by the name of Uzra, he turns around to Habib ibn Mudahir and he says to him, "You are trying to purify your soul?" Zuhair replies, he says to him, "In fact, our souls have been purified." Purified with what? With the love of Al-Bayt Muhammad. In fact, our souls have been purified. And I warn you that if you fight these purified souls, I do not know how you will be able to meet the Prophet while you have killed his grandson. So Uzra turns around to Zuhair ibn al-Qayn. He says to him, "O Zuhair, we have never known you to be of his Shia. We have never known you to be of the Shia." Zuhair replies with this. He says to him, "Is my stance right now not enough to prove my association with Muhammad and his holy progeny? And I ask you to do the same. That join Muhammad's progeny and support them. And if you don't, then at least do not aid the oppressors in killing his grandson." But they didn't listen to him, and Imam al-Hussein ordered all the companions to come back. Then on the day of Ashura, Zuhair ibn al-Qayn had many important stances, of which he would constantly talk to the people. Of course, on the day of Ashura, Zuhair ibn al-Qayn was given the commander of the right wing, Habib ibn Mudahir the left wing, and Al-Abbas was called as the flag bearer. So Zuhair ibn al-Qayn played a great part in leading the army of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. And he would go and he would constantly advise them. And he would say to them that, "Be careful, and you are currently Muslims and we are brothers. And I warn you from something called hellfire. How will you be able to stand on the day of judgment? And if the sword has not fallen between us yet, and if it does, you become a nation and we become a nation." And he would constantly advise them until they said to him that, "We do not want all of this," and they started praising Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad. Zuhair, again, because he knew the status of Imam al-Hussein, look at what he replies. He says to him, "Love and compassion towards the son of Fatima is better than showing your love and compassion towards the son of Sumayyah, the mother of Ubaydullah. The love and compassion towards the son of Fatima is better than love and compassion towards the son of Sumayyah." He understood the status that Imam al-Hussein had, the son of Fatima, the son of Amir al-Mu'mineen. And this love and compassion, when he says this is better than that, he is saying one thing. He is performing walaya towards Imam al-Hussein and the holy progeny, and he is showing a great stance of bara'ah from all of those who want to fight Imam al-Hussein. And this walaya and bara'a is one of the most important parts of religion, to the extent where we have a narration that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asks Nabi Allah Musa alayhi wa ala nabiyina wa alihi afdalu salati wa salam. He says to him, "O Musa, what deed have you done for me?" Musa says, "I have prayed for you, and I have performed zakat for you, and I have remembered you, and I have remembered you, and I have fasted for you." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replies to him. He says, "As for your prayer, it is for you a sign. And as for your fast, it is for you heaven. And as for your zakat, it is for you a shadow on the day of judgment. And as for you remembering me, again, that is for you to aid you on the day of judgment." In other words, every single act that we do is for us. And this is for our benefit, whether in this world or in the hereafter. Then he says to him, "O Musa, tell me, what deed have you done for me?" So Musa looks at him, and Musa would reply to him, he would say to him, "O Allah, would you not show me the way towards the deed that is for you?" He said to him, "O Musa, have you associated yourself with a person that associates themselves with me? And have you disassociated yourself from people that disassociated themselves from me?" And this, then Musa knew that this was one of the greatest acts, one of the best types of worship. And the only deed, according to this narration, the only deed that is solely towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As for the rest, they are all for our own benefit. And Zuhair understood this, and he performed this walaya towards Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And he performed the bara'a towards all of those who stood against Imam al-Hussein. Why? Because Imam al-Hussein associated himself with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And those that went against the divine infallibility, they disassociated themselves from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And hence Zuhair showed a great stance in not staying with them. That is one thing that Zuhair did in this. The other thing that he did was the constant advice. And this constant advice is not small, brothers and sisters. This constant advice is Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi Anil Munkar. Imam al-Baqir would say that Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi Anil Munkar is the greatest stance. It is the thing that keeps the nation alive. It is the thing that saves our children and our youth. It is the thing that saves our elders. Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi An Munkar. Because when you advise, what happens? When you advise, a person listens. And it could change the course of a person's life. Just like Zuhair when he advised his cousin, and his cousin would join him on the journey with Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi Anil Munkar, in some narrations, we find that it is the greatest deed towards making yourself closer towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In other Quranic texts, in the ayahs, we find that it is mentioned alongside salah and siyam and salah and zakat. Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi Anil Munkar. And in the Shahada, when Imam al-Sadiq performs Shahada and he witnesses towards the Shuhada, and he witnesses towards Imam al-Hussein and witnesses towards al-Abbas, what does he say? He says, "I bear witness that ye have enjoined good and ye have forbidden from evil, and that ye have established prayer, and that ye have performed zakat." Imam al-Sadiq, this great infallible, he puts it alongside salah and zakat, and he says, "I bear witness that ye have done this act," when addressing the Shuhada, when addressing Al-Abbas, when addressing Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And likewise, when addressing any other Imam, we always bear witness towards this, because it is one of the greatest deeds. And Zuhair ibn al-Qayn would constantly do this. He would constantly advise the people. And then he says to them, "I was not one of the people that sent messages to Imam al-Hussein. And I did not send a messenger to Imam al-Hussein. But when I was coming, we met on the way, and our paths met. And then he reminded me, and I remembered Rasulullah, and I remembered Rasulullah. And I remembered Imam al-Hussein's," listen to this, "and I remembered Imam al-Hussein's status towards Rasulullah." Rasulullah clearly says, "Husaynun minni wa ana min Husayn." Isn't this enough of a status of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein? And I remembered Hussein's status towards Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, and hence I joined him, and hence I will do whatever it is within me to keep any bad away from Imam al-Hussein. Shibr ibn Abdul Jawshan gets angry at this point, because he realizes that the army, they started to see some sense. He got angry, so he shot an arrow at Zuhair, and he said, "Be quiet, O Zuhair, Ye have made us deaf from how much ye have talked. Zuhair looks at him and he says to him, Yabn al-Bawwal ala aqibay, reminding him of where he came from. It is not you that I am talking to. Innama anta bahima. You are but a bahima. A bahima is an animal that has no worth, that all it does is eat, sleep, drink, and that's all it does. And Zuhair ibn al-Qayn looks at Shimr and he says, you are nothing but a bahima, an animal, a beast. And I do not believe and I do not think that you can even apply 2 ayahs from the Holy Quran. Shimr ibn al-Jawshan gets angry and starts shooting him with more arrows. And then he says to him, you and your friend will be killed in a short while. He says to him, O Shimr, you are trying to scare me with death? Death with Aba Abdullah al-Hussein is more beloved to me than eternity with you. This is the stance of Zuhair ibn al-Qayn on the day of Ashura. And so he returns to the tents. After returning to the tents on the day of Ashura, it is narrated that Shimr ibn al-Jawshan would attack the tents of Imam al-Hussein. And then he would cry, give me some fire, so I can burn the tents of Imam al-Hussein. Imam al-Hussein said, you are asking for fire to burn my tents? May Allah burn you with his hellfire. Then Zuhair ibn al-Qayn with 10 of his companions would attack Shimr ibn al-Jawshan. And they would attack him and he would kill one of his most important men. After which Shimr would retreat back to the army. After retreating, Zuhair ibn al-Qayn, Habib ibn Mudahir and the rest of the companions would attack the army of Yazid until Habib ibn Mudahir would be martyred. After which Salat al-Dhuhr came. When Salat al-Dhuhr's time arrived, Zuhair ibn al-Qayn would come back to Imam al-Hussein. Imam al-Hussein looks at Zuhair ibn al-Qayn and the son of Abdullah al-Hanafi. And he says to them that go in front of me. Because what happened was they were praying Salatul Khawf. In Salatul Khawf, what happens is the Imam would stand in the middle. And half of the army would be in front of the Imam and the other half would be behind the Imam. Imam al-Hussein gave the role of leading the front of the army to Zuhair ibn al-Qayn and the son of Abdullah al-Hanafi. And they would be the ones that would actually receive all the arrows, to the extent where Ibn Abdullah al-Hanafi, he would receive so many arrows that he would die during the Salah of Dhuhr. And he would be martyred during the Salah of Dhuhr. When the Salah of Dhuhr was finished, Zuhair ibn al-Qayn would go back into the battlefield. When he entered the battlefield, he would say, I am Zuhair, I am the son of Qayn. I will hit you with my sword to defend Hussein. And then he returns back to Imam al-Hussein and he says to him, فدتك نفسي هاديا مهديا اليوم ألقى جدك النبي وحسنا والمرتضى عليا والطيار الشهيد الحيا. May my soul be given to you, O Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. O the one who guided us, O true guide. Today I will meet your grandfather Muhammad, and I will meet Imam al-Hassan, and I will repeat Imam Ali, and I will meet At-Tayyar, the one who is alive and who has been martyred. And then he would go back into the battlefield. He would fight like a brave warrior, to the extent where some people say we have never seen Zuhair fight like this ever, keeping in mind that he was known to be one of the bravest of the Kufans. We have never seen Zuhair fight like this ever, until some of the army of Yazid would come around him and they would kill Zuhair ibn al-Qayn. And he would be martyred on the plains of Karbala. Imam al-Hussein would run towards Zuhair. Look at this. Imam al-Hussein would run towards Zuhair. And he would say to him, O Zuhair, may Allah be pleased with you. And he started making dua for Zuhair until his soul would depart his body. Zuhair ibn al-Qayn, this great noble companion of Imam al-Hussein, he was even mentioned by name in Ziyarat al-Nahiyah by Imam al-Mahdi, Ajallah ta'ala farajuh al-Sharif. What great lessons we can take from him. Insha'Allah, we can apply these lessons to our daily lives. هذا والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وآله الطاهرين.
oh.